This story is told for those who judge life too quickly. A tale for the impatient, who see only loss or only gain. In truth, fortune and misfortune are always woven together. Today's sorrow may become tomorrow's hidden blessing. Today's joy may hide tomorrow's trial, waiting unseen. This tale is for the young, to learn patience before storms. And for the old, to remember that calm is stronger than fear. It comes from the northern frontier of ancient China. There, mountains rose through mist and villages clung to their slopes. So let us leave the misty mountains and the whispering villages, and step closer to one man, Sai Weng, whose life carried this timeless lesson. Long ago, Sai Weng lived by the mountains, an old farmer working his land. His home was modest, his field small, his treasure a single faithful horse. Neighbors mocked him as poor, pointing at his tiny house. He only smiled quietly. Happiness and misfortune, he said, walk side by side like shadow and light. At dawn, mist curled through the valley as roosters cried across the fields. The horse neighed softly in the wooden pen, pacing nervously in the morning air. A sudden crack split the fence, startled hooves struck the rails with force. The horse burst through the gap and galloped toward the distant misty hills. Dust settled over the broken yard, silence pressing down heavily. Neighbors hurried over, their eyes wide with pity and concern. Weeks passed in silence until hooves thundered on the dusty road, echoing from the misty hills. To everyone's shock, the missing horse returned, leading a wild herd glowing in the sunset. Dust rose in golden light as 10 fierce horses circled the field, hooves shaking the ground. Neighbors rushed to the field's edge, faces full of envy and excitement at the sight. What marvelous fortune! You are richer than us all, they cried, but Sai Weng stayed calm. Sai Weng only smiled faintly, perhaps fortune, perhaps misfortune. Among the herd stood a black stallion, fierce and restless. The farmer's son declared proudly, I will tame this beast today. He leapt into the saddle, rope halter tight in his hand. The stallion reared violently, throwing him into the dusty ground. He struck the earth with a cry as pain tore through his body. His leg bent cruelly at a terrible, unnatural angle. The healer set the bone with splints and linen, his face grave. Neighbors gathered, whispering pity, shaking their heads in sorrow. What disaster! Your only son is now crippled, they murmured. But Sai Weng replied, perhaps misfortune, perhaps fortune. Time will reveal the truth. Months later, distant drums echoed across the land. Soldiers entered the village, banners flying, demanding young men for war. Mothers wept as fathers strapped armor on their trembling sons. Fear spread like smoke through the narrow streets and homes. But Sai Weng's son, with his broken leg, was spared. Soldiers glanced at him, then marched away without a word. Neighbors returned again, crowding the farmer's home. How lucky you are! Your son will live while ours march. Sai Weng spoke calmly, perhaps fortune, perhaps misfortune. Who can say? His eyes were calm as still water, unshaken by fate's turn. Seasons passed, and the war grew bloody and cruel. Messengers returned with grim tidings of sons lost in distant battles. Grief filled the valley, names spoken in tears and silence. Wives became widows, and parents buried their children. Yet Sai Weng's son, though limping, lived beside his father. Why him? Neighbors whispered bitterly, their eyes sharp with envy. Sai Weng never boasted, never mocked their pain. He simply worked his fields, steady, slow, each day. One evening, he sat beneath the stars with his son. Father, the boy asked softly, why always say perhaps? The old man gazed upward, his face serene in starlight. Because fortune and misfortune are always woven together, he said. What looks like one may hide the other, waiting unseen. The boy lowered his eyes, humbled by his father's wisdom. The herd still grazed calmly in the valley below. With patience, the son began to train the horses again. Gentleness, not force, became his strength with the animals. The horses followed his voice, lowering their heads in trust. Villagers watched, surprised by his quiet determination. Sai Weng sowed his fields with steady hands, scattering seeds. Crops grew well, not from luck, but from faithful care. Neighbors asked, "How do you stay calm when fate shifts?" "Nothing is final," he replied. "Joy may become sorrow. And sorrow may return as joy. All things change." His words spread like seeds, whispered through the village. Even children repeated them, learning patience at a young age. And so the tale of Sai Weng and his horse endured. The villagers understood, life cannot be judged in one moment. What seemed like ruin had hidden a blessing. What glittered as fortune concealed a heavy test. True wisdom lies not in luck, but in patience and balance. Lanterns glowed softly in the mountain night, swaying in wind. Horses grazed peacefully in the valley, their breath misty in moonlight. Sai Weng stood beside his son beneath the endless stars. Their figures seemed small against the heavens above. Yet their calm presence shone brighter than treasures of gold. They learned not to cling to joy nor drown in sorrow. Every moment is just a step on the long road. Patience is the bridge between joy and grief. Balance is the root of peace and quiet strength. Calm is the shield against storms of fate. The villagers finally saw, misfortune had saved a life. Fortune, once praised, had nearly destroyed it completely. True wisdom is not found in chasing fleeting luck. It is found in patience, in balance, and in calm.